Dolphins fans, we're in a sub battle with Seahawks today. We're within 75 subs. Go down, hit that big red subscribe.
Whoa. No. Y'all better subscribe for my boy Willie Finn's 24th birthday. We better get 24 new subs on this video or the Dolphins are going to lose. It's a fact.
That can't
Tua
happen.
was just on the phone with us. It was ridiculous. Like, y'all better sub for my boy Willie Finn's birthday.
Welcome into Dolphins Day. Appreciate my guy, producer Trace Gerard over there. I'm Will Scott, talking about the Dolphins practice squad because it has finally been finalized. We're waiting for the final list. Now we have it. They could have signed up to 16 names to this list. However, the Dolphins right now rolling with 13 players on their initial, or I should say their final practice squad, at least their final one before the start of the season. What do you think your favorite signing on the practice squad was? Who was your favorite signing? Go down in the comments section, chime in. I know a lot of y'all are going to say Braylon Sanders. That's the first guy we're going to talk about on today's show. A UDFA out of Ole Miss. Really impressed throughout the training camp period and throughout the preseason. And going into camp, I didn't really think he had much of a chance to make this football team. However, he was right there until the very end. In fact, up until cut day, a lot of people thought he had a chance to make this team. He doesn't make the 53-man. However, they keep him on the practice squad. Larnel Coleman, also going to be on this practice squad. And you know what, Larnel, he struggled. He didn't play well. I'm admittedly not the biggest fan of his, but being on this Dolphins practice squad, he's going to be able to improve and grow as a football player, so I'm excited for him in that aspect. And then I'm really excited about this. Verone McKinley III is going to be on this Dolphins practice squad. And Verone, I thought he should have made the 53-man roster. I was very disappointed that Clayton Fagella made it over him. By the way, Clayton was placed on IR last week, as we previously discussed. But here is what Verone McKinley did at Oregon last season. 77 tackles. He tied for the FBS lead with 6 interceptions, 6 pass breakups, 1 forced fumble. He was one of the best defensive players in the country at Oregon. It was an absolute shock that he went undrafted. Not the fastest guy, didn't run that well at the combine. Maybe that's why he went undrafted, but still a very good player who I think has a bright future in this league. I'm happy that he's sticking around in Miami. I thought he might have gotten claimed off waivers. He didn't. How happy are you that Verone McKinley III is staying in Miami? Scale it 1 to 10 down in the comments section. Go down, chime in. How happy are you that Verone McKinley III isn't going anywhere? Neither is ZaQuandre White, a UDFA running back out of South Carolina. I would have liked to have seen more of him in preseason games, but he did look very good in rookie minicamp, looked great in training camp as well. He's sticking around in Miami. It's not a surprise that he did not get claimed. I was a little bit surprised that McKinley didn't get picked up, but not a surprise that ZaQuandre White is going to be on this practice squad. Someone who I thought was going to make the 53-man roster, River Cracraft. He was probably the first guy out, if you will, in terms of not making this football team. The team just opting to carry 5 wide receivers, but he looked great throughout the preseason. Looked great in preseason games as well. Here's what he did. 6 receptions, 86 yards, 1 touchdown. Remember before that preseason finale against Philadelphia, I'm like, he's got to go off tonight. He did. I thought it was going to be enough to make the football team. It wasn't, but he's on this practice squad, and I can just about promise you that we're going to see him on the Dolphins by the end of the regular season. If you love the Fins, by the way, go down, hit the thumbs up icon, give us a like on this video if you love the Miami Dolphins, because the more likes we get, the more people come across our channel. Hit the thumbs up icon if you love the Miami Dolphins. Kalon Barnes, you may not recognize his name if you didn't watch our show last week, but he's another new member of this practice squad. He looked pretty good with the Panthers, but did not make the Panthers 53-man roster. 7th round selection by Carolina out of Baylor. And this guy is fast, man. He had the fastest 40 time amongst all players at the NFL Combine. Ran a 4.23. I'll repeat that. A 4.23. That's how fast this guy is. And Miami's all about speed, right? Not only that, this team needed some cornerback depth. with Byron Jones out. So you bring in Barnes for that reason. We'll see if he has a chance to maybe be elevated to the active roster at some point this season. I definitely think Cameron Goode is going to be on the active roster at some point. I thought he should have made the 53. I thought overall he looked better than Aguavin, but you got to give Aguavin credit because his job was on the line in that preseason finale against the Eagles. He played very well. He made this football team because I think there was only one spot available amongst all linebackers. When you look at who were the locks, who weren't the locks, Aguavin did get that final spot. Trey Flowers, he's been working out with the defensive line. That's why he's not on here, but the Dolphins earlier today did list him as a linebacker on the first unofficial depth chart. But Flowers will be rotating back and forth, I think, between the D-line and the linebacker position. I would bet on that. And you can bet at BetUS. If you use promo code Dolphins125, you can get a 125% deposit bonus. So if you put $100 in, you can get $125 free cash to bet with. Basically, you put $100 in, you're going to have $225 there in your account. It's an outstanding deal. Chatsports.com/bet. Use promo code Dolphins125 and go bet on the Fins. 3-point favorite against the New England Patriots. They're going to beat the Patriots by 20 points. -3 is a steal. Go and take advantage of it because I'm hearing from Vegas that line's going to go up to 3.5 and then 4, then 4.5, then 5 because NFL fans realize the Patriots are not a very good football team. Go and bet on it right now. Dolphins125 is the promo code. Chatsports.com/bet. Let's talk about Porter Gustin now. I really like Porter. He's another guy, I know, stopped me for this before. I thought he should have made the 53, but when they signed Trey Flowers, his chances of making the 53 pretty much vanished. But still a very good player. I'm happy he's sticking around the practice squad. It wouldn't shock me if he got interest from somewhere else and maybe left the squad if they don't protect him. But Ben Stille is another guy that we're going to talk about in a second. But let's talk about Porter because the chances of making the team definitely took a hit when Flowers signed. I thought Porter was a lock to make the team. Then they signed Trey Flowers. I'm like, oh, no, I hope Porter still has a chance, but I don't know. But Porter Gustin, definitely a guy to watch for on the practice squad, as well as Ben Stille, who looked really impressive in the preseason. 12 tackles and a sack, UDFA defensive lineman out of Nebraska. He's sticking around in Miami. Now this next batch of names, you probably haven't heard of these guys yet, but let's talk about them because they were not with the Dolphins in the preseason. Let's start with James Empey, a center. Yes, a center out of BYU, originally signed with the Cowboys as a UDFA. The Dolphins bring him on the practice squad, so he's kind of the emergency center, if you will, right now. When you look at James Empey. So I really like this signing. I thought that he was a guy to kind of look at as maybe a 6th or 7th round draft pick, but he was a 4-year starter at BYU. 41 career starts at center, a lot of experience. A lot more experience at that position than Connor Williams, I might add. But Connor Williams can be the starting center in Week 1 against the Pats. I hope he does a good job there. But if he doesn't and they move him back to guard, maybe Empey gets elevated to the active roster. Something to watch. Freddy Swain is on this practice squad. Probably maybe the biggest name on here because he had a pretty big role on the Seahawks last season. A wide receiver that has been brought in. And Barry Jackson tweeted this. Agent Jeff Ostro tells me a dozen teams called with interest in new Dolphins practice squad wide receiver Freddy Swain, former Florida Gator. Swain spoke with McDaniel and Welker. Return skills, 8.6 yards on punts last year. Also could lead to promotion at some point. Start 8 games for Seattle in 2021. Here's what he did with Seattle last season. He was a surprise cut. Now, granted, he didn't have the best preseason, but still, after he put up these numbers last season, I'm surprised not to see him on the Seahawks 53. 25 receptions, 343 yards, 4 touchdowns, 189 punt return yards as well. So definitely some special teams value when you're talking about Freddy Swain. Now, should Swain become the Dolphins' starting punt returner? Type Y for yes or type N for no. Down in the comments section, go down, chime in. Do you think he's going to become the starting punt returner by year's end? I'm going to say yes. Let's talk about Big Kat Bryant. Yes, that is his name. Big Kat Bryant, already the best name on this Dolphins team, arguably. He's a defensive end, and a lot of Dolphins fans are going to be familiar with this guy because he played last season at UCF, was a first-team conference selection there last season. He has been signed with the Dolphins practice squad. Very talented guy. I'm excited to see what he can do, but it's a really solid get. Here's what he did last season with the Knights. 16 tackles for loss, 6 sacks, 3 pass breakups, 50 tackles is a first-team conference selection with Central Florida. Josiah Bronson, closes us off here, a defensive tackle, so you bring him in as the last member of this practice squad. But those are the 13 names that they're going with here to begin the season. Thanks for watching this edition of Dolphins Today. Talk to you again soon. Go Fins.